If I had to describe Griffin to anybody, I would say that he was the happiest soul I've ever known. He just was the embodiment of happiness, no matter what he had to face or what he did.
We lost Griffin a year ago, but the extra 2 years that we got after his cancer treatments were the best 2 years of his life. Yeah! Woo! Griffin as a puppy was pretty much the way Griffin was when he was 10. Griffin was all out all the time. He didn't know that there was an off switch. It never occurred to him there was an off switch. So he was about having fun 100% of the time.
He would do anything to say hello to someone. We called him the mayor because he would work a room.
The character from Anchorman where he says to that lady, I don't know if you know this, but I'm a big deal. That was totally Griffin. I mean, Griffin had a sense of who he was, and when he went somewhere, he had a sense of, I'm a big deal. People love me. I'm very popular. And he knew that, and he embraced it. He owned every bit of that.
In April 2008, I actually found a small growth on Griffin's leg. And since we had lost our yellow lab to cancer, we were pretty vigilant about checking any strange lumps or bumps. And so I took him in to my regular vet, Dr. Mike Herman, at Belcaro Animal Hospital. And he took a look at it, did a needle aspiration, and sent it to the lab. And they said that basically they weren't quite sure what it was, and it probably was a good idea just to take that off and do a full biopsy. So I dropped him off on April 4th, 2008, and since he was 11 and a half, we decided to go ahead and do a dentistry and things like that, just kind of routine care. And I got a phone call that morning, and that's when they told me that they found a tumor in his mouth. And it was obviously very shocking because it hadn't been there 2 weeks before, and it was massive, and it really showed how rapidly the tumor was growing.
I'm Dr. Robyn Elmslie. I'm a veterinary oncologist, ACVIM board certified in veterinary oncology, and I've been board certified since 1992 and started this oncology practice here at VRCC in 1993. So the specialist, whether it's an oncologist or another ACVIM specialist, again, we really try to be an extension of the family veterinarian. In Griffin's case, Griffin's owner, Heather, had a very close relationship with Dr. Herman, the family veterinarian. Identified this growth in his mouth, a biopsy was obtained, some routine diagnostic tests were performed, and because this tumor seemed to be growing so quickly, the referral process was done right then and there. All right, this is Griffin's MRI. We're starting here at the tip of his nose, and we're going to move backwards towards his eyes. And this is his tongue right here. We're moving further back, and we're just starting to see the beginning of the tumor right here. And now in this slice, we can see a large segment of the tumor right here. And we move in again closer to the eyes, and we can see tumor all the way through here.
The day that we found out he had cancer, we made a pact that we wouldn't go forward with anything unless he wanted to, and that he would lead us and he would guide us. And as long as he was willing to fight and be strong, that's what was important. And that the minute it didn't become about him and it became about us, we would stop.
So we had Dr. Herman go back in and surgically remove as much of that plasma cell tumor as possible while keeping the hard palate completely intact. And then we followed up immediately with radiation therapy. A total protocol of radiation is typically 18 administrations, and it's done daily 5 days a week. So it takes almost a full 4 weeks to get through the radiation protocol. So we pick and choose our patients very carefully. We're choosing patients who are generally very healthy, have a good prognosis, where we can make a really big difference for them with radiation, and we expect them to go on and have an excellent quality of life afterwards.
We were thrilled when it was over, just because it's, it's a long haul, but he handled it like a champ, and You know, he had a tumor in his mouth and he had surgery and he had radiation on that area and he never stopped eating. Griffin was diagnosed with cancer at about 11 and a half years old, and what's really remarkable about his story is that it never stopped him from being the athlete that he was. You know, he became a DockDog right after he was diagnosed with cancer, and this was before he had any treatment.
That time that we got with Griffin was as good as you could ever hope it to be. He was the same dog we had before. He was the same personality we had before.
So since Griffin had so many friends, and since he was Mr. Personality and Mr. Popular, Dr. Elmslie actually recommended to us that he participate in a program called YAPS, which is Youth and Pets Survivors. And what this program does is it pairs pediatric cancer patients with canine cancer patients. And Dr. Elmslie said that Griffin would be perfect for it, and we agreed. And so we were paired up with a wonderful little girl named Minda. And at the time that Griffin became her pen pal, she was 10 years old and she was going through radiation treatment herself for a brain tumor.
This is Griffin. He was my pen pal before he passed away.
And this is Alex. He's my pen pal. He lived with Griffin.
Minda has a twin sister named Maddie, and Anne, who is the founder of YAPS, had asked me if we would mind writing to Maddie, because having a sibling with cancer is obviously a hard thing for a little girl to go through. And we didn't hesitate, and we said, of course, you know, we've got 3 dogs. I mean, of course we can write to Maddie. And so Alex became Maddie's pen pal. So what was really special is that Griffin would write to Minda about having cancer, and Alex would write to Maddie about what it's like to have a sister with cancer, because he had a brother with cancer.
It helped me through my treatments because of I could tell him how I was feeling, like what was happening at the doctor's office. So.
And Alex helped me with Minda's sickness by like knowing that not just humans have siblings that go through the same thing.
Griffin was really an extraordinary dog. He really had a heart about 5 times the size of his body. We really like to honor his spirit and his life. And so we raise money for canine cancer research and awareness through Chase Away Canine Cancer. And we've been really grateful and touched that we can use Griffin's story and legacy to help them raise money for such a great cause. So I consider myself so lucky to have had a dog like Griffin. And I think that as much as we've loved him and the impact that he had on our lives, that the impact that he's had on so many others is something that we'll always have in our hearts, and we'll always have him in our hearts. And his spirit will live on in the hearts of others.